America could avoid obesity a lot better if someone would just invent a device that lets you chew up good food and swallow it, but then have it go into like another machine instead of your stomach. And then you can just have another machine that inserts healthy food into your stomach, and then you live better while eating food that's better. Not for you, but for your mouth. You know, I used to go to high school. And when I did, well, I don't remember much of it. Because it was 2 years ago and no one remembers what happened 2 years ago. But there were a lot of skills required to be in high school, to walk in that building without falling on your butt, metaphorically. And it's really hard not to be awkward. And it's really hard for people to understand what I say because no one understands what I'm saying. Like, I'll just walk down the halls of my high school when I go there, and I'll just be like, because they have to stay in school and I get to go home. And that sucks for them. So when I go to high school, just like when I was there, people like to make me feel left out because that's high school. And I just walk past them and I just, well, I get to leave and you don't. So they can go suck on some eggs. And because of this, I like to keep my friend groups, who are none of which are really my friends, I don't believe anyway. I like to keep them spread apart throughout the different groups of, well, the band. And I just like to migrate between them like a butterfly that is learning how to be social because it doesn't actually know. And I just go about it the wrong way. I mean, for example, the other day I walked up to one of the couples in the band and I went, "There was something in the air that night. The stars were bright in the room." And some people just don't understand that reference, maybe. But, you know, I go there and I don't go there. And when I don't go there, I hear about things that happen there, and they just make me say, "That sucks, but not for me, because I'm not one of you, and I don't like you either, and that's why." So just remember that. Like, if you're a high schooler, like a teenager, or a person, then at some point in your life you'll find yourself with messed up priorities. So it's good to take a step back and just evaluate where your life's priorities are. Like, one time I had this awakening maybe a month ago when I received a new medication from my doctor that possibly could interfere with one of my other medications and cause death. So what I did was I texted my friend and I said, if I die, will you please keep my Snapchat streaks? And she said, "Okay, that's random, but okay, I will." And she said, "You know, why did you think of that?" And I said, well, I got this new medication that could send me into a coma along with my other medication. And she died a little inside that day. But I mean, there are totally people with way worse priorities than mine. So I'm not going to beat up on myself because I really enjoy my snap streaks. because my highest one is 500 something. So someone was like, a couple weeks ago to me, they were like, I have a Snapchat streak of 78. What do you have? I'm like, 500 something. And they're like, okay, yeah, I don't have a life, so, but that means I also have a greater Snapchat streak than you do. So choose. Do you want a life, or do you want a bigger Snapchat streak? Yeah, that's what I thought. And then there's sometimes when I'm in public, like at a school or at just any random public place that is quiet or something. Well, I don't go to a lot of public places that are quiet, but like if I'm in band, and not the high school band, if I'm in college band and someone says something funny, or I say something funny that I didn't mean to be funny, and people start laughing, they laugh for, you know, a maximum of 5 seconds. And I'm still laughing 15 minutes later, and people think I'm really weird for that because I shouldn't still be laughing. And that's a struggle I face. It's a very deep struggle. And I don't enjoy it because they judge me for still laughing. And they're not things that I should still be laughing at. Like, but sometimes they laugh at me for things that I say that aren't supposed to be funny or aren't supposed to be gross. Or they just misunderstood what I said, and then they're like, that was gross in their heads. And, well, one time, my director was talking about articulation on some of these notes, and he was like, great job doing that. And I'm like, well, I just started. And the tuba player sits right in front of me. Okay, I didn't realize it at the time, but right after I said that, he gave me a really weird look. Okay, and I didn't realize it until about 5 minutes later that he thought I said I just farted. And I'm laughing at it again. He gave me the weirdest look, and I was like, well. Okay, but I've seen that kid bend over as if like no one can see him, and he just starts picking his nose. I've watched him do that, and so I have correct dirt on him, and he just has something that he thought he heard from me. So that's what I'm saying. Okay, but like the last thing is, I don't know if this makes me absolutely like really crazy, or if other people get this too and they don't talk about it or they won't admit it, but like, if I'm in any public place, this can be any public place, I can just be standing there and you wouldn't know what's going through my head, but there are a lot of things going through my head, like violent things and gross things and things about what other people would do if I did violent or gross things. And like, it's like, for example, if I were to ask a store clerk person for help with something, I would just sit there and watch her trying to help me, and I wouldn't be listening to her. I'd just be thinking, what would this lady do if I puked on her? Because I just sit there and I think about all the different scenarios, and when she's done explaining, oh yeah, thank you, and I didn't hear anything she said. But then I also do the same thing, like if I have a mouthful of water and I'm next to a person, and even if we weren't laughing about something, if we were or we weren't, I just think about what would this person do if I spit my water all over them right now. And then I just imagine what they would do, and I move on with other thoughts like that. That is probably what I'm thinking about if I have a blank stare on my face. Either that or absolutely nothing. Because sometimes my brain, like, if I can just be doing a YouTube video and sometimes my brain just comes to a complete stop and I just kind of... Yep, that's exactly... I guess I can induce it too, because that's what I just did. You know, just questions about fatness and high schoolers. I don't like high schoolers. It's not just because they don't like me. It's mutual. Things that I shouldn't still be laughing at. Violent and gross thoughts. But obviously I'm not that bad, or else someone would have taken me into a psychiatric ward and like ripped my head off. And the one time they did that, they didn't rip my head off, so just clarifying that. Just think about those things and always remember, this is just a place for me to get my weird out.